Welcome back to LB Radio. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing David Bennett, which actually we've gotten to do this twice now, which is my honor because it's been so fun to chat with him. But today we're going to dive in and listen to more about his story. David is the founder of Empowered Living Institute, the Metabolic Body Reset, and Teach in Video. And you're going to get to hear all about how he not only has an awesome practice in the healthcare space, but also he has done awesome on short form video. So we're going to dive more into that soon. But David has mastered how being yourself and providing education through less than 1 minute videos allows you to reach the audience that you want, educate people on your business, and have them wanting to do business with you versus selling to them. David has been working with clients since 2004 to help enable them to take back control on their health and their life. David has a law degree, chiropractic degree, and is certified in functional medicine. And currently his audience is over 200K and growing. So welcome to the podcast, or welcome back, David. It's so great to see you again.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you. Nice to be on again.
Of course. And I'm excited to learn more. And now I've even watched more of your videos, so we can even have more things to talk about.
Awesome.
But I know that we both have this concept of short form video in common. I've been trying to do better on short form video and even learning some things from you. So thank you for showing up so I could learn. But I know that you have not only grown your following, but also a community to help teach other people how to do this, which is really awesome. And I know that there's a lot of people that are listening today, either freelancers of ours or small business owners, that are always looking for insight on how to grow their business, their audience, and be able to grow that. So what are like the best resources that have helped you along the way? I know some you've created yourself, but what have been those resources that have helped you?
Well, have helped me on getting the word out about my metabolic reset, and also the spin-off of that was the Teach in Video course, is just telling people what they want. As a healthcare professional, I get bogged down, and all my colleagues get bogged down in. I can give you the science and the Krebs cycle, and we can have everybody's nightmare flashback to biology in high school or college. But you don't want to hear that. You want to hear, you have X problem, how I can solve X problem, or what they can do on their own. And that's very important. And they don't want it, in my opinion, in a long, drawn-out 30-minute presentation. 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And my colleagues will say to me, all you said was eat more vegetables. I'm like, yeah. Sometimes you just need to hear that. Sort of like grandma or grandpa, in my case, being there saying, hey, eat your vegetables.
Yeah. We just need that short reassurance or direction, like shift direction to make sure that you're eating vegetables. And I think we're like always seeing these short form videos come in. I think I said this last time we chatted, but my mother-in-law was like, yes, you need to, eat chia seeds in water and it will help you. Put some lemon, you'll be great. And then I saw a video about it a few days later that she had probably seen about this. But it was really quick way that she could improve her digestion. And she took that to heart and made it happen. And I think that's the thing that we struggle with the most, like in health and wellness, is those really quick habit changes that happen. And it seems like you've been able to help support people with that. What has been your top video? I know that this was an interesting one last time. What's been your top video that kind of went viral for you?
It was the first one. Ironically, I'm one of the few who hit on the first video. I was sitting in my office having lunch one day, and I was watching a webinar on, advertising and Facebook's algorithm, Instagram, and they were talking about TikTok. And at that point, all I knew about TikTok is there was an app, it was out there. So I took a model of fat that I use in the office and said, this is 5 pounds. This is 5 pounds of fat. And it was, I don't want to say 15 or 20 seconds long of me just doing that. All I did was move it around, and I posted it under my business name. And few days later, we were on Christmas break, and my son, who was 13 at the time, came to me and said, "Do you have a TikTok account?" And I was like, well, "Yeah, we have one for the office." And he's like, "Do you know you're going viral? Because my friends are calling me and texting me about you. You know, you're showing up on their feed." And then, of course, like, typical dad, what does viral mean?
Like, is this good? Is this bad?
What's going on here? And then I went on and looked, and it was maybe 500,000 or 1 million views at that point. And
Easy.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, if I had to pay a penny per view on another platform to get that, like, how much money would I have spent on that? So, yeah, that one, and we did one at the beginning of this year, talking about the 3 reasons you can't lose weight, and your doctor's not telling you. And went through that, and that has a couple million views too. So it's like between those two, there's probably 8 or 9 million views on those 2 videos, and they can spin off into further education, because people will say to me, like, the three reasons why I can't lose weight. When I followed up with like 30 days of little blurbs underneath each of those 3 reasons and put them in a playlist, and they'll say, "Well, like, what do you do in your program?" And I say, "Watch playlist 1, 2, and 3. It's all in there." What I do is put it into a nice package, and then I hold you accountable to what we're talking about and what we're supposed to be doing.
For sure. Which accountability is the biggest struggle that everybody faces. And I know that it's probably, you can hear that same information over and over again, but unless someone is like, "Hey, did you do this? Did you do this today?" That you're definitely not going to be able to continue to act.
Even more, I'll call it intense. You have to sort of report in every morning to me. And the app that I have shows up on my screen as unreviewed if you report it in. And my personality, that bugs me, seeing that. So I have to review that. First cup of coffee in the morning, reviewed.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, I don't like what I'm seeing here and hearing here. Yeah. So I'll reach out and really hold them accountable.
Yeah. Well, and that's super important. And I think that, when we're looking at, growing our business with even the short form, but also improving our health, like, it's these little steps that we have to take, but it's consistency. It's the consistency is the most important. And I think that that's a really cool thing, especially with what you're putting out with educational content, but also like literally what you do in your life and what you preach to, all of the people that are following you and in your community and your programs, is that, if you're able to show up consistently, it can work for you.
What you said right there is so on point, because there's 2 things, and I think it's in every aspect of our life, is knowledge. Looking at a diagram, knowledge and consistency, and you have to be able to merge those 2 to get you where you want to go. Because, there's a ton of knowledge out there on weight loss. There's a ton of knowledge out there on social media marketing, but you have to be consistent as well. And to have those, you also have to see results. That really makes those 2 merge together. And that's very, very important.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to ask, what has been something that kind of surprised you about short form content? So obviously you've been viral, all these things, but what kind of surprised you? Like, did you have some preconceived notions about how it was going to work? Like, it was really harder or whatever? Like, what's kind of surprised you with it?
I thought I was going to have to be dancing and lip syncing and doing all of that. And as you're watching, that's not me. That's not me.
Yeah.
So I am just myself. If you look at either the teaching video short forms or the Metabolic Body Reset ones, it's me in 99% of those videos, just like sitting here. But I have my camera propped up, or I'm holding my camera, and I'm just giving a short, little nugget of information, and how easy it is for me to do that versus sitting down and writing a 30-minute, 45-minute presentation.
Yeah.
It makes my life easier.
For sure. And I know that last time we had talked about kind of turning that long form content into some of your short form. And I know that I think it was one of your blogs that did really well when you turned it into short form. So how did you kind of go about that process?
That was it. It was a
Yeah.
long form blog post, a long video, a long written blog, and turned it into that. Just basically just kept whittling down my original content until it was, I think that one was just under a minute.
Yeah.
So we
That's
all have
interesting.
that. No matter what your field, you have the content.
Mhm.
You've written on it. You've talked on it. You've in the past. I mean, you could all, we could all, no matter what our field, and probably even if it wasn't your field, throw out some nuggets in 15 to 20 seconds.
Mhm.
You know,
For sure. And it's like you've already done it. So you may as well try to use it for something else. And I think that that is one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that, yes, you could own one or, focus on just Instagram or just TikTok. And yeah, you probably should like somewhat narrow it down with your main focus and strategy, but that can be used on all the different platforms, and you should be repurposing it because you want to get in front of more people. You want to be more visible, and you've already made it. So why not just put it everywhere?
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah. And I know that you do that often with all of your content as well, which has helped you to grow and helped you to continue to get clients from it, which is, I would love to know. And I know that I said this last time, but, how has the short form content, the virality, getting, in front of a lot of people, how has that really impacted your business? Because you started out really just with this chiropractic practice, and then what's kind of evolved for you out of that?
It's evolved. Luckily, prior to 2020, I was already moving towards an online platform with my metabolic programs. So it's just allowed me to move quicker in that respect, and set up more calls and move forward with gathering clients without spending that ad money. Because I look back at some of the ad money I spent, and I'm like, and I look at what I got out of it in the end run, and it was like, so if I can do this myself, fantastic. And two, that also gets you that know, like, and trust. You're getting in front of somebody. So, and then every once in a while, I offer, everybody does, I'll offer, hey, I have this quick little book on cravings guides. Grab it. But that does something very, very important. It grabs them and moves them off the platform into my email list, which is extremely important because you never know what the platforms are going to end up doing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, it's so true. And you have to make sure that you are getting those people like through your email list and getting them on there. And I know that we talked about last time ways that you have used like getting people onto your newsletter through the short form content. So why don't we talk about that? What are your tips on getting people to convert to your email list from those short form videos?
So if you have a lead magnet already, or you're making a lead magnet, most of them are PDF downloads. I've done some video lead magnets. So let's say it's a PDF on how to crush your cravings. Open it up, just open up your own PDF and look at a paragraph and 20 seconds little blurb and say, hey, that is my crush your cravings. That is part of my crush your cravings guide. Go up in my bio and grab a copy for free.
Doesn't have to be complicated. And I think that is one thing that I was telling our team. I was like, okay, I interviewed David. Like, you guys need to all go look this up. I'm like, and they were all like, it's just simple, but it's so good. Like, it just is easy. And I think that is, we always complicate things as business owners. We always do. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be complicated.
That's one of the things I talk about in the teaching video course. It's like, just don't overcomplicate. Don't overthink it. People are like, well, I need a special camera. I need that. Like, look, I have an iPhone 8. I'm not even up to date on that. So you don't need that. But the overcomplicated goes across all. Like, I don't want an overcomplicated life. Yeah. I don't want to overcomplicate other people's lives when I do the metabolic program with them. Mm-hmm. So we try to keep it simple, keep it workable so that everybody can do it and understand it and grasp it, which is fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to switch gears a little bit, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about short form a little bit more throughout this. But everybody on our episodes always love to kind of hear what you wish you had known when you started your career. So I know your career has taken, a few different connected dots along a journey, which most entrepreneurs, including myself, that's how it is. But what's one thing that you wish you had known when you began your career?
When I began practicing law, I wish I would have known how to set this up so I could do it online. So I really could,
yes, for sure.
I think about all the little mini courses that I could have done when I was really, it's been 20 years since I've been practicing. Back then I could have written a course on, what you need to think about when you're drafting a will, like what you need to think about when you're doing guardianship or whatever. But it wasn't prevalent back then. But I wish I would have been ahead of the game in that respect. And the same with functional medicine, just moving along those lines to groups, because I like to do groups with our metabolic program, because then the group helps itself. That camaraderie, that membership idea helps people move forward. And you can do that with any idea, really. Just a group on video, a group on, I'm drawing a blank, of course. But I know what you mean.
You could do it on anything. And I think that is the key. I think another thing that is interesting when we're looking at content and creation and starting things is that people connect with you as a human first, and not just as whatever your career is, whatever element. So whether you were a lawyer or you're a doctor or a chiropractor, whatever you are, they first are going to connect with, oh, you're a parent. Oh, you like to go take walks outside. I remember you said you did a video on vitamin D, that just walking outside and getting the vitamin D, how simple is that? People that is so simple. But one, is a super great habit to get into, and getting outside and getting that vitamin D, you need it. It's for your health. It fits into your pillars that you're trying to teach people about. But it's really your life. You just went outside and took a walk. So I think that we oftentimes forget that content and things that we can go, into, really so much of it starts with just ourselves. That's how people connect with you.
And I remember back when I was doing some live videos, and I used to go be so concerned, the kids would walk in the door, or, when they were real small and they'd be looking because it'd be 8:00 at night, it's time to go to bed. And I'd be like, people loved it. People love seeing the kids. People love static posts, even when you post it on social media. I have pictures of my kids in the garden helping me. And people love those because you're not a talking head.
Exactly. And you can always intersperse some sort of education into that. But also they just want to see that you're not some just random person behind a screen, that you actually can connect with them in some way. Yeah. And I think that what's interesting to me, especially with this new short form video, is maybe people that have been or professions even that have been quote unquote less approachable prior to the short form. You guys have nailed it on TikTok, and doctors and, lawyers and nurses, everybody. It makes it feel more approachable as the receiver of that education or that service or whatever it might be. So I'm oh, David over there that has kids and goes walks and, has vitamin D. I could show up in his office and get support and help. And I think that that's something that really broke down a barrier.
It really has. Because you're getting to know the personality versus just the white coat behind the door with a stethoscope. You go in and you're terrified about what's going to happen. You see that person now as a regular person.
Yeah,
regular person.
For sure.
Healthcare on TikTok is one of the fastest growing areas.
Yeah.
And it's one of the better platforms for marketing healthcare.
Yeah, exactly. I'm guilty of going on, not doom scrolling, but I think health scrolling or something. You should have a name for it. And I've this one doctor I followed for a long time. It was just over 1 million followers or something like that. And I was just watching all these videos she had just on a loop. And I was wow, I learned a lot in that, maybe, I think it was maybe 10 minutes that I was sitting there doing that. But it's fascinating and it's interesting and stuff that maybe you formerly would have just read like an article about. You actually get to see it in real life. There's questions answered. There's, things that you might think not have thought of that are going to be brought to light through that short form video.
And TikTok is especially good for this, because when I'll get a question or comment from somebody, it's easy to just grab your phone and do a 30-second, hey, that's a fantastic question. You should try X, Y, and Z, but, remember, talk to your doctor about this. If you but you can answer back immediately, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. It really is the breaking down those barriers, getting that communication you wanted, because I know I was reading a friend's like Instagram post the other day, and she was so frustrated with her doctors about something. And she said that she just like kept asking a similar question, and she looked for that answer on TikTok. And I'm sure like most doctors would be cringing right now me saying this, and she found this doctor was talking about exactly what she was going through, and she like messaged that doctor and now is seeing that doctor. But it was just like the barrier that they actually are talking about issues that we're having and we want to hear about. And oftentimes that is not always happening in that traditional setting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, speaking of being approachable, I know that sometimes it's really good as a business owner to hear about obviously the successes that we've had as entrepreneurs, but also some of the failures, because that can either help to prevent us from making a similar mistake, or just realize that like, hey, that failure happened, but this person still was able to overcome that. So what has been your biggest failure as a business owner, and what did you learn from it?
I think the biggest was not jumping into social media earlier, because I was very hesitant to get on video. Didn't really want to do posting on all these platforms and doing all of that, but that's where people are, and maybe it was sort of the idea that was in my mind of doctor, don't do this. But it was exactly where everybody was at. And, when you think about it, it's just super easy. It's super easy versus, let's see, what have I tried in the past? The placemats, diners, direct mailings.
Yeah.
And when I think back to all of those things and yellow page ads from way back, the big ad, like I probably could retire with all that money. But I learned something in each step. Even if your idea doesn't succeed, you learn something from it and modify, adapt, and overcome. That's, I have a colleague, one of his favorite sayings is conceive, believe, become. And I have that written on a whiteboard in my office, because you conceive it, then you believe it, and then you become it. And just move yourself through that process. And it's no yellow brick road. Whoever tells you that, they're forgetting a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. They are at least enough removed that they've forgotten, which I think that is part of the good thing as you're further along your journey. You usually forget about some of those things, but I think it's important to reflect on them too. And like you said, make sure that people don't feel like it's just this, rosy picture that's going to happen. There are going to be those ups and downs, but I think the biggest thing is, making
just
sure
like the first time we recorded this, ups and downs.
Exactly. You cannot have a perfect. I feel like that week though was just like all technology was being wild, because I just kept having weird issues. But you just adapt and you keep moving and you figure out a way. And now we're having an even better conversation because we've already chatted together. So that it's never a lost thing. And I think that's what I've learned as an entrepreneur too, is like every single either failure or mishap or thing that came out of it is really helped me. And even preparing for worse things that might come into play too, because it's always going to happen. Mm-hmm. So just being able to have that perspective and, to zoom out and go, yeah, but like 2 years ago, that was also really tough and I made it through that. So I'm sure we can make it through more and get to where we want to go. I think that it's all about adaptation and adapting into different things as a business owner. Well, I know you just mentioned one quote and one way to have a mindset, but what is your favorite quote that motivates and inspires you?
It's perfection is never done, but then I always get it jumbled up.
It's okay. The best quotes are not easy to remember.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think it was Ralph Waldo Emerson was ultimately everybody. There's 20 people probably took credit for it, but
for sure,
in some form or another. But it's right. I mean, we all are like, it's got to be, my webinar's got to be perfect, my product's got to be perfect, my presentation no, it doesn't. It has to get out there, and it has to resonate with somebody. And that's again the short form video doesn't have to be the lighting doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it.
Yeah. Well, and I've had to tell my team that too. What if I make it? I'm just whatever, it's going to go out there, because I learned a long time ago, if I was going to be a perfectionist, I would not succeed. Succeed as an entrepreneur. But for them, sometimes, they are like, oh, it's got to be good. Do you think this is a good one? I'm like, just post the thing. If anything, it's going to be far enough down the feed in a few weeks that no one's going to see it. So it's all good.
Who would have thought standing with a 5-pound model of fat would actually resonate with it? I was just like, oh, this is what I have. Let's try this.
And that's usually the best content. And I always tell clients too that you just never know what's going to hit and what's going to be a success. And you just have to keep throwing stuff at it. It's like throwing spaghetti against a wall. You just never know. But if you're consistent about it, you can be successful in your own right. And you don't have to have 1 million followers. You don't have to even have 10,000 followers, because everybody that's watching even just that little bit of time is learning about you, what you have to offer. They're gaining education. And you just need to stop worrying about trying to hit some goal.
Yeah, I mean, and I sent an email out to my email list from the video course and said, look, stop chasing the algorithm. Just start talking to your avatar. Yeah. Because, okay, you got 200,000 followers, but, this one video, 2 million people watched it. So they didn't follow you, but they may have liked it. They may have resonated with it. They may have looked you up. Because there's ways to track all this, saying, okay, I can look at my website and see that when I posted this video, the website hits went up. So that resonated with people. They didn't follow me per se, but they did find something interesting and did go and look at mine. So then, you evolve into all the other retargeting aspects of the process.
Exactly. And they might be back. I think that's one of the things, usually it takes 7 to 10 touch points for anybody to even convert to something. And you just need to keep making sure you have those touch points available for people to do it. It's not going to happen right away. And it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, but you can definitely do it. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're starting, don't realize that there is some work that goes into it. For sure. Other businesses have a marketing team and have all of the support, but when you don't have that, you have to be that area of your business to be successful, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what impact or legacy do you want to leave? So I know you're a father, I know you're a business owner, but what impact or legacy are you looking to leave on the world?
I want to be able to help as many people in whatever they're doing. Whether it's I'm business coaching them or I'm doing the video coaching or helping them, because my Metabolic Reset program talks about, we're always talking about weight, but it's not that, because the non-scale victories are better than the weight loss. Being able to go, grandma going to play at the playground and not getting short of breath, or hiking, or just all those non-scale victories. I mean, it was me. I was client 1 in the whole program, and my daughter, who was maybe 7 at the time, I sat down on a chair when I came from work, and she said to me, she sat on my lap and said, "I like the new you." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, You don't come home and just want to fall asleep. You want to go out and play. You want to go do something, do a bike ride. So, understanding what your why is in any field is very, very important. And I want to leave that legacy to my children so that they go through their life understanding, and other people go through their lives understanding why they want to do certain things, and they can reach their goals.
Yeah, no, I think that that's so important. And one thing that keeps, it comes up all the time. I feel like I say this on podcasts, like every time I'm interviewed, but one of my favorite books was this book called, Get to Aha. And it's figuring out your why as a business owner, but also your why as a company. And that is just so integral in everything. And she helped Microsoft and Apple and all of these big ones, but that was super transformative and essential for them to be successful. So obviously as a smaller business owner, you have to get to that. And I think that when your business is not you, and you have to kind of separate yourself in some way from your business, but also the reason you started it is your why, and it goes along with everything. And so if you're building something, putting so much blood, sweat, and tears into it, it should be something that you really want to make happen in the world and to help other people achieve that, for sure.
And I'll talk to other healthcare professionals. They'll be like, I went from this to this type of practice, and I'm still there 6 days a week, for 8 hours a day. And they're like, I really want more free time. I'm like, then you need to make your free time. That's what you need. You need to figure out how to do that. Yeah. And in that respect, is group programs allow that to be able to go out and do that for people. But you absolutely need to know your why. If your why is you want to spend more time with your family, then you need to work towards that goal, not work towards just changing scene versus changing what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. And reevaluating that often. I think that that's something especially as a business owner in this day and age, there's always some sort of shiny syndrome that you can go after. Or you heard from somebody that this was going to work, and you have to make sure that, even if you start booming as a business, that you're always back in alignment with your why. I know recently that was something for me, as I was I left my job to freelance 7 years ago to have that flexibility and freedom and more time with my family. And now I'm leading this tech company, and it is absolutely wild and taking a lot of my time, and I'm losing a lot of that. And so you have to kind of go back to, what is that? How can I fix that? How can I make there more space for it? But usually when things aren't going as good, you've kind of gotten a little away from your why. It could be good in business, but maybe not good when you're having a gut check as a business owner.
Sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, my last question for you today is, how are you going to create momentum in the rest of 2022? So we have a few more months left. What is in store for you as a business owner or personally?
Well, I was just on a webinar before we got on here, talking about moving forward to setting up for Black Friday and setting up for the end of the year. And, it's, as of the day of recording this, it's 60 days away is Black Friday. So that's where I'm in that process of backing up from those days for both businesses.
Yeah.
To figure out, okay, what are we doing on social media? What are we advertising if we're going to run some ads? Things like that, so we can stand out. So that's what I'm doing to build momentum, because in the metabolic side, the big day would be January 1, because everybody's New Year's resolution is, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to feel better, I'm going to go to the gym. Well, you drive by the gym on January 2nd, the parking lot's packed. Yeah. By February 2nd, the parking lot's almost empty.
Mm-hmm.
So
for sure. For sure. I know. We also are planning, we usually focus on Small Business Saturday instead, to be a little bit different than the Black Friday, but trying to get with the whole weekend as well. But it's just you have to be prepared 60 days, 90 days out sometimes to be ready for that. And it is hard to stand out from the crowd, but when you've established that consistency, you have that following that's paying attention, you need to make sure that you utilize that to your advantage. And you definitely have to sell in some capacity at some point. There's obviously all of those jabs before that hook or whatever. But you have to make sure that you're showing up. So I'm excited to see what's coming down the pipeline, see how you run Black Friday for your businesses, and definitely, yeah.
When you think about it, every time you do anything, you're making an offer, some sort, whether it's just like follow me or whatever. It's always an offer. You just gotta have to climb the mountain of offers until it's the sale offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll throw this out from the video side. I'll give you this is the nugget I give all clients.
Huh.
You're gonna get comments that you're not gonna like.
No.
They're mean.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you gotta have a 24-hour rule. You gotta leave it there for 24 hours and not respond to it for 24 hours. More than likely somewhere in there, somebody else will take care of it for you. Or by that time you'll have calmed down enough and you'll have a better answer.
Exactly. That's really good advice, not just for comments that are left on your social media, like just about anything that pisses you off, right?
I see these people going back and forth. I'm like, yeah, you guys are crazy.
No, I know. I usually am like, I'm going to leave that and let people just come to their own conclusion. But yeah, you have to. That's a really good piece of advice for everybody listening. Well, where can everybody follow you? We'll make sure to link them in the chat. But for those that are listening, where can they find you?
You can find us on all social media platforms. It's under Teachin without the G. Video is one of them, and Metabolic Body Reset is the other. And you can find us on our website, which is metabolicbodyreset.com or teachinvideo.com.
Awesome. Well, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you both times now. I'm excited to still follow along and see all of your videos for inspiration for myself and just in general for life and health. So thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to everybody listening to this episode.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, thank you, everybody. Yes, thank you, everybody. And thank you for tuning in to LOB Radio. We'll be back next week with another entrepreneur that's going to share about their business and life and give you some actionable tips and tricks to make your entrepreneur journey a little bit easier. Thank you and have a great day.